Hi friends, Renee Keys here with Carolina Creative. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here with Card Making Ideas. Today I am back playing with the floral impressions, and I'm going to use all different parts of this suite today. I've got an idea stuck in my head and I want to play with it. So I'm using some of the stamps from this set. I'll be doing a little bit of die cutting. That's the first thing I'm going to do. I picked one of the papers that I really like out of this set, so I'm using paper, Designer Series paper. I've also done some embossing. If you buy that suite, 2 of these embossing folders come with it. So I've already embossed with this, I don't know what to call it. It's just a really cool pattern. It's almost a trellis looking thing. So I'm going to use that. But in order to get started, I want to go ahead and do a little bit of die cutting. I've got my cutting and embossing machine here in front of me. As soon as I flip the camera, you will be able to see that. So I'm going to start with this. I've got a piece of Strawberry Slush and Blackberry Bliss, and I'm going to put these together. And so let me just, I'm making a standard sandwich here with my 2 plates. And let me run this through and die cut those. And I think I'm going to run it through a second time just in case I want to do another card or put 2 on the same card. So we'll get to see what I've got here. Let's get the first piece out. Oh, it's so cute. So that is with 2 pieces here. And then this is the background, or at least that's how I'm going to use it today. So when you put these 2 dies together, it gives you not only the die cut, but also that punched out detail. Here we go. I think it goes like this. So I'm going to run this through again. I just put the 2 dies, one inside the other on my paper and crank it right through. There we go. And go ahead and run that through. The other thing that I did use today, and I'll show you, is the big oval that comes with this die and stamp set. I've used that. I'll clean all this up later. I'm just going to move these out of my way, but you can see my pieces. Okay. There. So what I was about to say was I did use the oval die that comes with this, and I ran the paper through so that my pattern is going horizontal. I want to make a horizontal card today. So I'm starting to get all my parts and pieces. You can see where I did my die cutting. I did pull, this is retired, but it's another small oval, and I want to use this for my sentiment. I'll show you how I'm going to put that together in just a minute. The other thing I want to do is I've got a piece of Strawberry Slush cardstock. And when I cut this, I did it long ways. So I now have 11 long by 4 1/4. And I'm going to make this a gatefold, but I want it to go horizontal. So I want it to open this way instead of being the long way. And so what I'm going to do is I'm using my scoring tool here, my scoreboard. So I have this marked. I already did my math. I needed roughly 2 3/4 on each side. And so I've got it marked at 2 3/4 and then 8 1/4. And so I am simply going to score and score. And now when I fold, yes, they meet in the middle. So it opens this way. And this is going to be my insert for inside the card. So I'm done with my scoring tool. That comes in handy if you're doing, a whole bunch of cards, or depending what you're working with, that scoreboard can be really, really handy, especially if you're doing boxes and you're having to, score 4 sides and all the angles and everything. It can be very, very helpful. So I've got lots of parts and pieces here. My thought was, I'm going to start laying this out so you can see what I was thinking about doing. So here is my I just did it on white. I wanted kind of a neutral background, but you can see the embossing on there. And I am going to have to cut this in half because of the way this is going to open. So that means, here we have some math again. I already know it was 2 3/4 So I'm doing half of this. This is 5 1/4, which means to cut this in half, there's my 2 1/2, and I need another 1/8. There we go. That should give me 2 equal pieces, because I'm going to put 1 on either side of this gatefold, like that. All right. The other thing I need to cut is my oval. I'm going to do something different. I'm not using it in what I would call the standard or traditional way. I already know this is 4 inches. And so I'm going to cut this in half. So I need it right at 2. And I'm lining up the straight edge here. And I'm just going to zip that in half. And you'll see in a minute how I'm going to use that. I'm going to actually reverse it. So to start putting this together, just to show you the layout, I'm going to put it this way. And this side goes this way, so that they don't meet in the middle, but that is where my overlap is going to be here. So I have a little bit of stamping to do. I'm going to stamp inside the card, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment here. So I've got both. I'm sticking with these colors. I meant to show this in the beginning. I'm basing it off of these flowers here. They're kind of pinks and purples, and so that's what I'm working with today. So I'm going to put inside my card a flower that's going to look kind of similar to that. I'm stamping with Strawberry Slush. I'm going to do a quick stamp off. I should have had a piece of paper in front of me. I didn't get that even. There we go. So I wanted to stamp off just so I don't have too bright or too dark of an image there. And now I'm going to use Blackberry Bliss, and I'm going to give it the details on the petals right here. And if I line this, you can line it up. Don't have to. Ooh, yes, bold. And I think for my sentiment on the front, I just want to use Strawberry Slush. So I'm going to use it inside too. I'm using Thanks and I Appreciate You. So I'm going to ink up the I Appreciate You and put this inside. Now, I could have stamped this in either color. It would have looked pretty in Blackberry Bliss too. That I think is going to look lovely inside the card, and I'll start assembling that in a minute. And let me just stamp. I'm having to guess. I'm just guessing. I'm going to put the Thanks over here. Okay. And I think that's all the stamping I'm going to do. I'm not going to add leaves to this. I mean, you could very easily put, a stem or some leaves on there. I could put a center on there. For right now, I'm going to leave it. I can add that later because it would be so simple just to stamp the center there. So to start assembling, I'm going to go ahead and do this insert piece just because then it won't be flopping around here. So I'm just dotting. Well, I was dotting. I got a little run there. Dotting some glue along the edges, but hopefully not so much that it will ooze out when I give it a nice press to put it inside the card. So you can tell I did just a little bit of cutting before I started videoing. I did the oval, and then I ran the embossing folder through the cutting and embossing machine. But that's all I did. Everything else I'm actually doing live today. Some of that is just to save a little bit of time and keep you from being bored. So let me go ahead and put this on here. I like the fact that the top is not embossed. So you really could stamp on there if you wanted to. I think with the paper, this is going to be busy enough, and so I'm just opting not to do that. But you could very easily put a sentiment or put a design or more flowers on top, that upper half of this embossed panel. But the cool thing is, when somebody picks up this card, they're going to be able to feel that embossed layer. So yeah, line that up pretty good. All right, so now I'm going to make this look like it's wrapping around the card. And I may even put it up just a little bit higher so that more of the embossing shows and I cover up more of that area. I mean, it looks pretty if you center it, but I'm actually leaning now toward shifting it up just a little bit, just a smidge. So let me, because I'm putting it on texture, I like to actually go a little heavier with not the liquid glue, but with the Stampin' Seal. Okay, so let us do that. And then I have the other half. I did see somebody did something similar with cutting the oval in half and using it this way. And I just thought that was a pretty clever way to line it up. I am using the lines on my glass mat here to help me line up, if it'll quit wiggling, line up my images here and keeping it straight. I think it needs to go right up here. So I'm trying to keep it straight on this edge as well as lining up, you know, top to bottom. So I'm looking at multiple places. Yes, if I had looked, I could have picked a groove in the die cutting or the embossing here and used that to line up, but that's fine. It worked just fine. So this is going to go here, and I'm going to put this over here. I may put it up top. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now. So the other thing that I think I want to do, because I'm putting white on white, I'm going to roll this so that the edges have color. And that just really makes this oval pop a little bit more. You can see I'm holding it at an angle so that the line will be a little thicker. I'm going to give that a few seconds to dry because that was pretty thick, pretty heavy. But in the meantime, I can start assembling this. And I think that I'm even going to give this just a little bend. And the more I'm looking at this, I think I will be adding yellow centers. I can die cut. There are die cuts that go with this. And so I can actually make it match that even more than just the colors that I'm using, which I'm kind of liking. Okay, now I have to be cautious and think about which side I want to open and only put my Stampin' Seal on one side so that I don't seal the card shut. So I'm going to stick with this side and put 2 good strips like that. And then just kind of center this so that it overlaps both sides. Another oval just kind of ties it all. I think it ties it all together. Okay, so now I'm going to add this. Could have used dimensionals. Not sure that I need it. This is kind of popping off already because I've made it kind of 3D like that. So you get the idea. I think I will run through and put a yellow center here, which means I'll put a yellow center there as well. I was going to add, I've got the twine. This is in the catalog, Pack Your Bags. It's a free twine pack, but it has strawberry slush. And you know, what better way to put another finishing touch on here than with just a little bit of twine, which means it's going to be a pretty simple little bow. So let's go around. I may go ahead and fray those edges. Let's try this again. It was flipping in my hand and not wanting to go where I wanted it to go. I can see how that one edge was starting to fray, but I really like that. So I'm going to go ahead and start to fray the other end too. Yes. Okay. There we go. And so now I just need a glue dot to add this on. And I think I'll be done. A little Wink of Stella to give those flowers some shimmer. And I will be finished with this card for now. And give you a quick recap. So I'm just putting the bow down here. Just another little touch. So my Wink of Stella pen, there we go. I'll put it on the purple here. And maybe just a little shimmer on the flower petal edges there too. So you can see that sparkle. Okay, so that was the idea that I had in my head. So I turned the gatefold to go horizontal so that it opens this way. And that was the full 11 inches. I did some embossing so you can see there's texture there. I've got, boy, that Wink of Stella is really sparkly right now. Woo! I've got the flowers and the oval. The other thing I could add to this, and I think it's calling for it, I'm going to use some of these pretty strawberry slush and pretty in pink gems. So let me flip the camera one more time and show you where I'm going to put some sparkle. I think it does need this, and I'm going to put them in that dead, I'll call it dead space, but in that white space up there. Nope, I didn't mean for it to go quite that low, but it's okay. And then maybe one more over there. So just that little bit of bling, little bit of sparkle, but it's a really nice thank you card. I appreciate you. Can be used for a lot of different occasions. So that's my card for today. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you like the products and the projects that you've seen here, you can find me at Carolina Creative or hashtag Carolina Creative. I am on the Stampin' Up! Network. It's Renee Keese at StampinUp.net. Thanks for joining me today. Stay tuned for the next video.